Hi everyone, I'm your English teacher here from English Ninja Original. Actually, it has been more than a month since the last video, and I should like to thank you all for bearing with me and sticking around. In this video, we're going to talk about the differences between American English and British English. I think these two varieties make up the majority of native English speakers in the world today, and it is really important for you to know the differences between these two varieties and use English without mixing them up and creating confusion by doing so. In this video, we're going to talk about these differences under three categories. First one, the differences in vocabulary, and then we will move on to talk about the differences in spelling, and finally we hope to talk about the differences in pronunciation. It will be really important for everyone learning English out there to know these differences and not to mix them up, right? That's really important. I hope this video will really help you to understand the differences between the two varieties. So let's get started. Let us start with the vocabulary difference between British and American English. In British English, we have sweets, but in American English, it becomes candy. So I hope to go through these words assuming that you know at least one of these terms, either of these terms at least, or maybe both of them, but not knowing whether it is British or American. In this lesson, you will for sure know which is British and which is American. That is what I am trying to teach you today, and let's go on. Sweets, candy, football, soccer, tap, faucet, wash basin, sink, maize, corn, autumn, fall. Settee or sofa is a couch in American English. Flat, apartment, trousers, pants. Here we have to distinguish something that is in British English also we have pants, but they wear pants under their trousers. But in American English they have pants and they wear underpants, of course, under them. So they wear pants and underpants, while British people wear trousers and pants. If you are talking to a British person, you have to know this difference, otherwise there could be a confusion, and it may be the other way around as well. If you are talking to an American person, pants means trousers, and the underwear they wear under them are called underpants. Tin, can. Post, mail. Film is a movie. Biscuit, cookie. Petrol, gas. Lorry is a truck. Curtains, drapes. Wardrobe, closet. Torch, flashlight. Dummy is a pacifier. Here in British English, what I mean by dummy is not a mannequin actually. It is a device made of rubber, normally for babies to suck on. Zip, zipper. Underground, here underground means actually underground railway. In American terms, it is subway. In British English, you may hear sometimes underground is being referred to as tube as well. So underground, subway. Boot of a vehicle is called trunk in American English. Candy floss becomes cotton candy. Car park is a parking lot. Dustbin is a trash can. Holiday becomes a vacation. Jumper is a sweater. Actually, if you say that with the American pronunciation, it could be sweater. Lift, elevator. Pavement, sidewalk. Mobile phone is a cell phone. Number plate of a vehicle is called license plate in American English. Postcode, zip code. Grill is a broil. Cot for a baby is a crib in American English. Skipping rope, jump rope. Anti-clockwise, counterclockwise. When you're talking about some circular movements you're making or you see, It could be clockwise or anti-clockwise in British term or counterclockwise in American term. Nappy is a diaper. Aubergine is eggplant. Bonnet of a vehicle is called hood in American English. Full stop, period. Shopping trolley, shopping cart. A restaurant where you can buy food to take home and eat is called takeaway in British English, but in American English it is a takeout. Vest is what you wear under your shirt in British English, but the American term is undershirt. Courgette, zucchini, that vegetable of the squash family. Q is a line. Dustman, garbage man. Beetroot becomes beet. Spring onion, green onion. Garden mostly could be called a yard in American English. Chips, French fries. Here we have to understand another difference. That is, in American English also they use the word chips. What they mean by that word in American English is called crisps in British English. That is the difference. Chips is French fries in American term. So American people may have French fries and chips, while British people may have chips and crisps. Filling station, gas station. Mate is a casual term for a friend, could be buddy in American term. Ladybird is a small insect, that is ladybug in American English. Fairy cake is a cupcake. Reception is called most of the times front desk in American English. Pushchair, stroller. Noughts and crosses, a kid's game, is called tic-tac-toe in American English. Toilet becomes a restroom. We have to note here that restroom can be used only for public toilets. So restrooms can be found only in public places. If it is your private place, it could be your washroom or just a bathroom in American term. Commode itself could be called the toilet in American English. But in British English, toilet can be used to refer to a washroom in a public place as well. Another confusing thing could be the next term. If you talk about a multi-storied house or building, the ground level floor is called ground floor in British English, and then comes the first floor. But in American English, the ground level is the first floor, and then comes the second floor. So this could be a bit confusing if you are in Britain or in America. Because of this difference, it could be confusing when you want to get to a certain flow. So knowing this would really help you to understand it without any confusion. So ground floor, and then comes the first floor in British English. Remember that. And in American English, the ground floor is the first floor, and the next one is the second floor. That brings us to the end of that segment on vocabulary. Next, we're going to talk about the differences in spelling. British spelling and American spelling differ significantly when certain spelling patterns are considered. So we can have a look at them and know the differences very clearly and use them in our writing. In the first set of words, you find one letter less in American English. In British English, you find O-U-R, and in American English, you find only O-R. We can say American English is simpler than British English here, as you can see in these words. Let us read the words. Color, behavior, flavor, honor, humor, labor, neighbor, glamour, endeavor, favorite. In the next set, you find RE in British English and ER in American English. Center, fiber, kilometer, liter, meter. Theater, caliber, louver, maneuver, scepter. Meager, saber, somber, luster, amphitheater. In the next set of words, British English uses SE at the end of the verb, and in American English you can say ZE. So SE, ZE difference is one difference you can find between British and American English when certain verbs are considered. Here you can see some examples. Analyze, organize, paralyze, realize, recognize, specialize, socialize, patronize, apologize, criticize, minimize, memorize, customize, personalize, and monetize. Here in this set you find certain verbs ending in L, and that L is being doubled when we add ing, er, or ed to the end of that word. This happens only in British English, but in American English they do not double that final L. As you can see on screen right now, control, controlling. So you have double L when you write controlling, but control has only one L in British English and American English both. Traveling, quarreling, controller, traveler. Controlled, traveled, signaling, modeling. In the word jewelry also we can see double L in British English, but in American English only one L is written. In next three words, in British English you have one L, fulfill. It has only one L at the end, and you have to pay attention to that L actually. And skillful, British English has only one L in the middle, and in enroll it has only one L at the end again. But in American English they have double L at the end when you write fulfill, and in skillful they have kept the double L of skill, and in enroll also they have kept the double L in the word enroll. That's one difference you have to memorize without that getting confused with the previous set. Next comes GUE ending in British English, but in American English it is just G. So dialogue ends in GUE in British English while it ends in just G in American English. I think it is simpler because actually although we write UE at the end of the word dialogue, we don't read that. So one might say that British English is a bit conventional and American English a bit progressive. So I'm going to read these words for you. Dialogue, catalog, analog, monologue, travelogue. In the next set you find CE in British English and SE in American English. Defense, offense, pretense, and license. We have another set of words where we find an extra letter in British English, while in American English you don't find that letter. In this list you find letter A or O in British English, but in American English that letter is removed. So the extra letter is underlined in British English word column. Encyclopedia, medieval, maneuver, archaeological, pediatric, estrogen, leukemia, orthopedic. Finally, we're going to talk about the differences in pronunciation. This is really important for you to know that if you want to get them right, it's important for you to listen to American speakers and British speakers, how they pronounce, right? Listen to the native speakers. So this video will help you to understand basic differences between the two pronunciation varieties, but actually if you want to improve on that, you will have to listen to native speakers. Now we come to the last segment of our video today. This is pronunciation. American English shows a considerable difference when compared its pronunciation with British English. As you can see on screen right now, these words, the first set of words we have selected is actually these two sounds O, and in American English it's O. Your jaw drops a bit more than British pronunciation when you read the same word actually in American pronunciation. It will need some practices if you're learning English as a second language. But if you listen to native speakers, you will clearly see this difference between British and American English when they say these words. Go and go, boat, boat, coat, coat, hope, hope, home, home. You may not clearly see the difference when I pronounce these words because English is my second language as well, But if you listen to some native English speakers, you will clearly understand the difference, paying attention to this sound. Actually, I can recommend something like 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐞 for this purpose. Otherwise, you can go to Merriam-Webster website and you can listen to the American pronunciation, and then you can try British pronunciation through a British website like maybe Oxford, maybe Cambridge. That will be really helpful if you do this, especially for sounds like these, because this could be confusing if you don't know the basic difference. Then we can move on to the next sound. I'll read these words in the British way first, and then I'll try to read them in the American way. The basic difference here is these words have the vowel sound R in British English, but it becomes A in American English. So let's try reading this. In the British pronunciation, it's dance, aunt, and ask, laugh, bath, after, can't, task, nasty, mask, and bask, the final one, raft. If you try to put them in American way, you may hear somebody say dance, ant, ask, laugh, bat, after, can't, task, nasty, mask, bask, final one, raft. Then we come to the hardest part of this segment, that is the colored R sound. In British English, you don't find this sound, but in American English, you find this colored R sound. Actually, this R is written. It doesn't matter whether it is British English or American English, you have that R letter in the word, but when you pronounce them in British English, they are silent, they are not pronounced, especially when you're reading them as single words. So I have to stress that, because when there is another word coming after that, and starting with a vowel sound, when the two words combine in pronunciation, that R is sounded, but otherwise it is not sounded in British English. But in American English, it is always pronounced, and in a kind of a different way. This may need a lot of practice actually. So this R is called rhotic R sound, or otherwise colored R sound. So my pronunciation here may not help you that much, because English is my second language as well. So I'm not that much used to these colored R sound in my pronunciation. But anyway, for the purpose of teaching this to you, I will try reading these words in the British way first and in the American way second. So let's pay attention to the R sound. And again, listen to the native speakers. That's the most important part here when you want to learn pronunciation. Native speakers is the best resource you can find, but there also you have to remember that you cannot sound exactly like a native speaker. That should not be your purpose of doing that actually, and you must develop your pronunciation to a satisfactory level. So then you have a choice whether to use British English or American English. That's up to you. But anyway, knowing this will always help. So let's read. So in British English, these words would be pronounced as first, fever, far, fear, for, fire, ear, hour, air, park, art, heart. But an American might read these words or say these words in a bit different way. First, fever, far, fear, for, fire, ear, hour, air, park, art, heart. Now I hope we can move on to the next important point in pronunciation, that is flap T. This happens again only in American English. In British English, you don't find this. Here what happens is actually the T sound is pronounced almost like a D sound in American English. Remember, not every T is sounded like this in American English. This happens when T comes between two vowel sounds. I'll try my best to read this in American way, because I hope you know how these words are pronounced in British way, because you see T and T is pronounced T, just like water, later, city, better, tomato, pretty, hated, writing, native. What is this? Bottom. Little, meter, cutting board, grater, potato, kettle, butter, batting, negative, you don't but I do, alligator. I read them in a slow manner as well, and now we can try these words in American way. Let's read this. You can try reading after me if you'd like. Water, layer, city, better, tomato, pretty, hated, writing, native. What is this? What is this? What is this? Bottom, little, meter, cutting board, grater, potato, kettle, butter, batting, negative. You don't, but I do, but I do. You don't, but I do, alligator. And that brings us to the end of the video today, and thank you very much for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Let's see you in the next video.